Thank you very much, Jonathan. We welcome in one of my favorite players ever to cover as a journalist and a guy who played in the National Football League for the entirety of time, former Vikings cornerback Terence Newman. Hi, Terence. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Well, here's what everybody wants to know, Terence. Where are you? What are you doing? What you been up to? You coached last year. You played since like the 70s all the way up to 2 years ago. So what is life like for you now, buddy?
Life is simple. My golf game has gotten better, and I don't wake up with sore shoulders, hamstrings, and all that stuff. So, I mean, I can't complain one bit.
I mean, Terrence, it
Life
is
is
great
making
to hear.
sense.
That is all. Hey, I gotta know, Terrence, what is up with you not coaching anymore?
Well, I was actually crazy to coach like the way I did it last year. From retiring one day, waking up the next morning, having to get up early and go in and the coach. Like, playing for so long and having a routine for so long, I feel like you know, after doing it last year, I was like, you know what? I actually gotta actually retire and take some time for myself just to, do some things that I haven't been able to do since heck before college, because I think college is when it gets really, you really have a schedule. But yeah, I just needed some time to kind of do my own thing a little bit.
Terrence, what was that like? So you make the switch from being a player, you go through training camp in 2018, and then you retire, I guess quasi-retire there, right? And then you become a coach about a day later. Like how weird was that? I guess just not going to the locker room, having an office, and just kind of how quick of a turnaround that was for you to have to deal with in 2018, where you were a part of a position group and then you are a coach of a position group.
It actually was more of a blur. I mean, being a player and having played in that system for quite a while, like it made sense. I was coaching. I've been coaching guys since my last year in Dallas at the least. So I mean, Dallas, I was basically coaching. Cincinnati, I was coaching. We brought in some DBs, so I had to help them. Minnesota was the exact same thing. The first year when Trey was drafted, I knew they were going to draft a corner, so obviously I wanted to help them get up to speed because you need everybody in secondary. So, but long story short, I mean I've been coaching for way longer than most people realize it, but that's why it made sense. That's why it was such a good fit, is because I've been doing it for quite a while, but it wasn't in capacity like I did it last year. But at the same time, it was kind of the same. So it wasn't that hard for me to get adapted and adjust. I think the biggest adjustment was the fact that I had to, get in super early and then leave super late. I did that as a player, but I would still probably be there, 3 or 4 hours after as a coach than I was as a player. So that was the biggest adjustment.
Talking with former Viking cornerback Terence Newman. So, Terence, you're taking some time off. You're working on the golf game, but has there been times where it sort of hit you that you wish you were out there, or that you might be jumping back into the coaching game eventually at some point? Like, what is that like to have that space in your life after? I mean, you played forever. I know I've made some jokes, but you really did play for such a huge portion of your life.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of weird because I'm watching games now and I'm yelling at the TV. I'm like, okay, T, you gotta chill out, bro. But it was weird because it was kind of like, I feel like what fans feel like. You're sitting at TV, you're watching your boys. It's different in that aspect. Is like these are friends of mine. But man, I get fired up on this couch. Like I started yelling at the TV.
Dude, I miss seeing
Thinking,
you get
all right,
fired
you know
up.
what? I need to go back to Minneapolis. I need to go out there, help a couple guys. But then, you watch other games on TV. You're like, well, shoot, I can still do this. I mean, that wouldn't be that hard. But then, reality, you're like, yeah, I had mentally kind of prepared myself for retirement for a couple years. So as far as me wanting to get back out there, that's not going to happen. I don't have any thoughts like that, but you watch games, but you think about it, you're like, man, it would be fun to just play one last year. But
Dude,
that's not something that I would look forward to.
what's crazy is that I know you said mentally you've kind of been like, listen, I've crossed that chapter off, but physically, I know you could still do it. I know you could still keep up with these guys. And that to me is incredible. It shows to your character, and not only that, but to what the consummate pro you were. And I want to know from your opinion, when you look at this Vikings offense and you see that it's a run first type of team, does that change your mindset when you go into this game? Or are you like, it's just like every other game to me?
No, I mean, I think when you have a run first game, your mindset changes a little bit, but you have Diggs and Thielen, and you got a couple younger wide receivers and tight ends that can play. So you're gonna have to get dirty going in and tackling, big backs and doing stuff like that. But at the same time, all their passes are off the run actions. It's the old Houston used to have that. The Shanahan. Denver had that for a while as well. So you just have to kind of understand how you'll be attacked in a run first offense.
Right.
And you're as a corner, like your first thing is, okay, I have to protect passes, right? And then you react and read the run. So obviously you go out and make plays. It's when you get caught peeking, when you're just guessing, that's when you get in real trouble.
Right. And speaking to peaking, I've seen this year the linebackers have obviously been fooled on many teams on play actions. Does that go to the credit of the running back, the scheme? Is it the defense? I mean, so many teams have been getting crushed on the play actions this year, and most of the linebackers are in the backfield. I mean, what do you attribute that to?
I think it's ball fixed by the quarterback, but also design. I mean, think about this: if you have all your runs, if all your run actions look like passes, so your linemen, they're all going the same way. It looks like they're blocking hard, trying to make a hole, and all of a sudden your quarterback boots the opposite way. I mean, that's tough on a linebacker because
Right.
you're reading your keys, you're reading if you have the back, you're reading the back, you're reading the guard. He's aggressive coming out, run blocking. It looks like a run block, but he's not getting upfield. I mean, it's tough on a linebacker because you got to make a decision that quick. Okay, run, pass, and then you have to play off of that. So I think that all the run actions look pretty much similar, and then you just have the quarterback booting a little bit. So it's pretty much off the quarterback and the lineman. The scheme basically is what makes that go.
I'm curious from your perspective, now watching these games on TV and seeing your former team. Mike Zimmer's been pretty adamant that the pass defense this year is not where it's been in the years past, and that he's been trying to fix it as much as he can. With this cornerback unit, what's your take just on the way that they've played this season and just kind of some of the ups and downs that they've had back there?
Well, I'm always optimistic. I mean, what is there? There's 3 games left in the regular season, I believe, or 2 games.
3.
And
3, yep.
3, yeah. Well, you really want to get hot about now. So, everything that's happened up to this point, you look in the mirror and you say, if you're going to be honest with yourself and you really want to get better, you have to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I have to play better. I saw Xavier, said something of that nature last week. But a secondary is there's 4 or 5 guys back there. So, there's plenty of that to go around. Guys just have to, work on technique harder, work on understanding what the call is and where you're vulnerable and understanding your vulnerability. That's important in the game, especially at corner and nickels. So I think the guys will be okay. I think they're gonna, get it together in the next 3 weeks. And it hasn't been terrible. Let's be honest. I mean, you go to Seattle, you give up over 200 yards rushing. and that's tough to cope with. So you talk about pass defense, but pass defense and run defense go together because you obviously want to make a team one dimensional. If they can't run, they're going to pass, and if they can't run, they have to pass. So you're going to get more passing yards. So hand in hand.
Talking with Terence Newman, former Minnesota Viking cornerback. Terence, you arrived in Minnesota 2015, and you saw this team draft Eric Kendricks, Danielle Hunter, Stephon Diggs, and Trey Waynes in the same draft. And now when you look around, Danielle Hunter is setting records for youngest guy to get this many sacks, to get over 50 sacks. You see what Stephon Diggs is doing, trending toward making a Pro Bowl. Even with Adam Thielen out, he's continuing to dominate, and Eric Kendricks should be in the Pro Bowl this year. Do you remember that as being a turning point to get you guys to where you were at the NFC Championship? And I guess, do you have some pride in their success of being a guy who helped those players become what they are now?
I can't say I helped most of them. I mean, Trey, I definitely helped out, but Danielle is that guy is super special, man. I mean, he's a talent that comes around, just every so often, and you hear about guys like Jadeveon Clowney and J.J. Watt, guys like top guy Von Miller, guys like that in the game, and T.J. Watt. Like these guys are all huge talents, and Danielle is just right there with them. I mean, if you talk about who's the best in the game right now, I mean, Danielle's name has to come up at some point. That guy is special. Eric is special. He's got the highest motor of any linebacker I've ever seen. And Diggs has obviously been, a great talent. Guy who's worked his butt off. Sometimes his emotions get the best of him, but as a player, I mean, you want a guy who's, highly motivated, has a lot of, emotions running through him, but, sometimes it can hurt you. And he's seen that this year, but these guys are amazing, but also you have to give credit to, the scouts with the Vikings because, they've got a lot of these players. Like you said, they got all these guys in the same draft. How is that possible? This is a team that does their due diligence. And they go out, they get players.
Terrence, I got a question, and I know you're going to be mad at me for asking, but I got to ask it. Do you think
Wait,
it's
can I ask you one question first?
Of course.
Can I ask you one question first?
Of course.
Have you had any slip-ups yet on air? You know what I'm talking about.
No, not yet.
You know what I'm talking about, Boone?
No, you'd be proud of me.
I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. We've done a lot of radio together, and he hasn't even really come close. He's done a great job.
Close.
Boom, what the heck happened, bro? Like,
no, dude, it's still there. It's just always been like this.
This is not you. I don't. Who are you?
Terrence, I'm trying to be more like you every day. Believe me, I'm becoming more godlike. I love it. It's incredible. Listen, I got to know because before I let you go, do you think this team has officially become an offensive team over a defensive team?
Ooh, now that's a good one. That's actually a really good one. I would say my answer is going to be a little bit conservative, just so you know.
That's fair.
But with this offense practicing against this defense, this has been a defense that's been, I believe it's been top 10 defense in the league for quite a while now, right?
Oh yeah.
And then you've got an offense that struggled a little bit here and there, but always have been able to do one or the other, and now they can do both. So I feel like you're gonna have some lulls in defense, as well as offense. So the important thing is when one is not functioning at maximum capacity, the other one has to be functioning at maximum capacity in order to win games. So I think they complement each other. There's times where, the offense may struggle and the defense has to pick up and vice versa. So, I don't see one being technically better than the other. I just think that, you have to complement each other. No different than also in special teams. You have to have, you've always have to have your special team at maximum capacity.
Right.
But with offense defense, one's gonna during the game, one's gonna not play so well, and the other one has to pick up.
All right, Terrence, the last thing I got for you, because I know you got golf to play and maybe wine to drink or make or whatever. Tell us what it's like to be in a locker room with Alex Boone.
Oh man, Boone is like the life. I mean, he's got a bevy of knowledge. He's very knowledgeable about different things. But for me, I just love listening to his choice in words. His vernacular is impeccable. I mean, guy that can go out and blow up a lot of things with some missiles and bazookas and rocket launchers, shoot bullseyes on targets, and then come in and tell you about it in his very choice words. So to me, he was a great leader. I mean, there were guys that, when things weren't going well, some guys won't, they're not comfortable speaking up, but Boone has always been that way, when things haven't been going well. And I think defensively, you see that a lot, but I never really saw it a ton on offensive guys. When I was in Dallas, I saw it quite a bit. But yeah, Boone was definitely a big leader on the offense, and I always appreciated that from him. And we've had many discussions talking about times when we needed to say stuff. It was just awesome that I had a guy who was also a veteran that I could speak to, and we could talk about things like that and how can we get better as a team. That's kind of our relationship, and we just shoot the breeze a little bit. You thought I was gonna cuss, didn't you, Boone?
We got a dump button. We can deal with it. We have ways of dealing with that. If you did, well, Terrence, I appreciate all your time, man. If you want to get into a media career, we have openings. You would have to work with Alex maybe, and that could be problematic with the dump button. But no, Terrence, you're one of my favorite players ever to cover. Somebody who's willing to break down the game for reporters, which is kind of unusual sometimes for players. So I always appreciated that from you. And you are welcome on the show anytime you want to talk some football. If you're screaming at your TV, you want to vent, talk some ball, we're here for you, buddy.
Hey, yeah, and I'm here as well. So if you guys ever need me, I'm down. And boom, we could make some things happen, brother.
Terrence, I'm in for sure. You were always my favorite player. I loved being right next to you in the locker room.
Hey, we could be like talking Joe Thomas 2.0. We could make this happen.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we can help you get your own podcast together, and we can get you started. Terrence, great stuff. Great to catch up with you, man. Appreciate your time.
No problem, man. You guys have a good one, and I guess we'll have to do this again soon in the next couple of weeks.
We will. Yeah, we will. Playoff. I would love to hear from you about playoffs. So let's do it then. Okay, buddy.
Let's do it.
All right. Sounds good, man. Thanks.
All right, fellas. Skol, baby.
Thanks, T. New. God, I love that guy.
Terrence Newman there. Okay. Well, it took us an extra week to get him, but that was terrific. And I will just tell you guys a quick Terrence Newman story. My first year covering the team, and I had been covering hockey before, so I wasn't full football guy. Like, always watch football and know it, but trying to really understand how the game worked. And I went up to Terrence and I said, I want you to tell me why you think Stefon Diggs is a good route runner. Now, most players would be like, well, he's quick, he's fast, and he tries real hard. And you'd be like, okay, let me just write that in my notebook and move on with my life. Right. And he said to me, well, what do you know about route running? I was like, nothing. I mean, other than...
Which is a fair assessment.
Right.
That's fair.
Try real hard.
Right.
Run real fast. On Madden, my guys are always wide open. So then he said, let me break it down for you. And took about 10 minutes to talk about all the different elements of route running that would make Stefon Diggs a great route runner. And I just can't say enough about how much I appreciate that, right? Like when someone is going to break it down for you, so then you see it every other time after that, it changes your entire perspective. So like one player who's willing to kind of coach even a reporter and say, here's how this works. It was just a great experience. So I'm glad we could catch